and I enjoy Greek cooking. The other night I had dinner at a Greek restaurant. I cannot tell you how involved the meal became. They were rolling beautiful grape leaves, and here you can see a whole bunch of grape leaves for me. I couldn't believe it. And cheese puffs there called teropidas, and filled with cheese and yummies. They brought it to my table. I could not believe it, and I could not wait. I have only one problem when I come to a Greek restaurant. I simply cannot wait for the food. Oh, thank you. This is an antipasto plate of all kinds of lovely things. And good Lord, that's one Greek salad. Beautiful Greek salad with feta cheese and anchovies and a beautiful spinach pie, spanakopita. There's one thing missing. Here it is, the cheese.
Saganaki.
Saganaki, ah. This is Aries, and he's going to light the cheese. He's just poured brandy on it. Hey! Isn't this incredible? And they're paying me to do this. I love it. This cheese is a classic bit of kasiri that he's dipped in a batter, at least I think it's a batter, and fried it in a pan, put it in a very hot pan again, poured brandy on it so that the whole thing flames at the table, and it is eaten thusly. And I'm going to take you back to my kitchen and show you how it's done. My rendition is not as good as theirs, but it's not bad. You simply tear off a bit of the bread and put some cheese on it. Yes, it's hot. You're right. It's very hot. Oh. Get your glass of wine ready, and you can enjoy one of the most ancient cultures in the world, not just for civilization, not just for the arts, and not just for law and order, but for food. This is from the Parthenon in Chicago. Cheers. And it was incredible. Marvelous food. And I was lying. I really have figured out how to make saganaki properly. Maybe not as good, but it's so close I can't believe it. Let me show you what you need to do. You need to find a cheese from Greece that is called kasiri. Please don't use feta or a soft cheese, anything like that, but it'll come in a big wheel. So what you have to do is to cut it into slices like this, you see. I've cut it along in one angle, you see, so I get big long slices. I want about a 1/3 of an inch slice here. You see what I have? And we're going to dip the slice of kasiri, K-I-S-S-E-R-A-R-A-R-I-E, into egg, nothing to it. Dip it into egg first. There we go. That's all they do. And this has a little milk into it, too, by the way. What you're asking. Well, 2 eggs and 2 tablespoons of milk, okay? And then into flour, bread it properly, and have your frying pan. Whoops, now that is quite enough flour on here. There we go. Shake it off, you see. Now, my frying pan is all set to go. I need to simply add a bit of olive oil. I'm using a pan, good and hot. I don't want to melt the cheese. I want to sear it. Do you understand? I want to sear it on the outside. So the pan has to be good and hot. I want a little bit of olive oil. We've got so many things cooking here today, I can't believe it. If I can clean up this mess in front of you today, I'll be doing very well. But I just love Greek cuisine. All right, here we go. Now we'll put the cheese into the hot pan and let that go for just a couple of minutes. And then we'll turn it. We'll brown it on one side, then we'll brown it on the other. And then we'll serve it with a great flame and a bit of flamboyance and some lemon juice. And my sons, Channing and Jason, come. You wonder how I travel between my home and our studio. The boys come and see me all of the time, and we inevitably wind up at the Parthenon for saganaki. And when it comes in, the boys start yelling "upa" too soon. Upa is what you yell when you light the brandy. And I don't know what upa means except hooray. But we should all yell hooray. When you're eating with your family, it's always upa. It seems to me it's upa. When you eat by yourself, it's ganixen. But when you eat with your family, it's upa. So plan on more upas, and I'll have one ready for you in a second. In the meantime, I want to make a second Greek dish that is one of my great favorites. It's called a plaki, P-L-A-K-I. Plaki, it is a fish dish. And if your kids don't like fish, or if your lover or your husband or your wife doesn't like fish, clean it up with this one because it's a terrific dish. A plaki. First of all, I've lined my casserole with some very fresh sole, flounder, any white fish you want. You see? Beautiful stuff. Lay it down now. On my burner here, I have simmering. We're going to have to interrupt the recipes. You understand this today because this one's going to be done when this one is ready. You see? I have a couple of large onions, maybe three medium or 2 large onions, simmering away in a little bit of olive oil and a bit of garlic. And into that, I'm going to place 3 squished, look at this. Now be careful. You should never do this with your hand out. Keep your hand in front of everything and squeeze the tomatoes, canned tomatoes, into 16 ounces, 2 cups, you see. Squeeze it right into the pan and let that simmer for a few minutes. In the meantime, I think I better turn my saganaki before I lose it. Isn't this fun? You're wondering whether or not mine's going to flame, aren't you? Well, you just watch and see whether or not mine's going to flame. Isn't that beautiful? You want to barely toast it. If you let it sit in there too long, this skin that you see on the top of the cheese is going to slide off. This beautiful skin, you see, it's already loose, you see. It's going to slide off, and you're not going to have you're going to have cheap fondue. You're going to have Greek fondue. We don't want Greek fondue. We want a saganaki. That's almost done. Let me get some seasonings in my vegetables, which will go on top of the plaki. And for the seasonings on the plaki, I want to add a bit of parsley, about a half a cup, to my onions, garlic, and tomatoes. Measure that very carefully. That's an old line. I shouldn't use it on you anymore. And some oregano. And you remember, the best oregano in the world comes from Greece. Comes from Greece. Good fat teaspoon of oregano. There's the islands out on the outside of Greece, you know, on the edge of the Mediterranean, cook the most marvelous, come up with the most marvelous batches of oregano. Our oregano just isn't that bright. Okay, we're going to let that simmer for a few minutes now. And in the meantime, checking some oil here. We're doing fine. In the meantime, our saganaki is ready to serve. Are you ready? Well, shut off the heat, take it off the burner, and you would bring it into the dining room. For heaven's sakes, be careful with this. You could burn down the whole neighborhood, and I don't want you to do that. So what we're going to do is to, well, I can just leave it on the burner here and show you what's going to happen, huh? We're going to get a cigarette lighter or a match ready, because you want to, and some lemon ready. You want to do this all at once. Did you notice that the waiters at the restaurant have a cigarette lighter stuck in their apron? And when they do this, it's all very flamboyant, but it's very marvelous. So you want to add, what do you want? 4 or 5 tablespoons of good brandy into the hot pan. It's off the heat. I'm taking it to the dining room. Throw it on. And then ignite it. Now watch this. Opa! You see? You didn't yell quick enough. Now after the flame dies down, don't put your hand in this now. But after the flame dies down, there it goes. Come on. There it goes. Then we put the lemon on. You squeeze on an entire wedge of lemon, and then the dish is set out to serve, and you eat it just as I did at the restaurant. You got that? Gorgeous saganaki. All right, let that one cool for a minute, and let's go back to our, the plaki is almost ready. Remember now, we've cooked the vegetables for another 10 minutes or so with a bit of beautiful oregano from the Greek islands. Oregano. It's so lovely. Now to that, after the 10 minutes here, we've sautéed our onions first with the garlic. Then we put in the 2 cups of tomatoes and we squished them up, along with a handful of parsley, half a cup if you insist. And then we've added a bit of oregano, a good fat teaspoon. Now we're going to add a half a cup, whoops, here it is, half a cup of red wine. And just slosh it in there indiscriminately. There we go. And that will go over our fish. But first of all, we need to cover the fish with some lemon. You know, lemon is very important in the Greek cuisine. I can get rid of my cigarette lighter. I don't smoke cigarettes. It was all I could do to give up my pipe. So I didn't even have a cigarette lighter when I started cooking today. I had to do some begging, but it worked. Slice up 2/3 of a lemon. And we want to line the top of the plaki with the beautiful lemon, you see. This is a dish that will turn on all the kids if they say, oh, I don't like fish. It's because they've eaten those deep-fried fish witches and fish, never mind, the sticks and all those things they get at drive-ins. No wonder they don't like fish. That stuff has been frozen I don't know how many times. Terrible thing to do to your family. Cook for them. Or have them cook for you, whichever you can set up, you know. One method's as good as the other. So now we'll put the sautéed vegetables over the top of the fish, which has been covered with the lemon slices. Pop this in a 375-degree oven. Isn't that gorgeous? For about 45 minutes or so. You don't want to overcook it. I'll put it in now. I have one already, of course. And 45 minutes, and you have a plaki, a classic dish from Greece, which comes with vegetables, fish, ouch, the whole works. Ah. There we are. We'll do a little bit of transferal here. Where's a pot holder? Here we go. So I'm going to set this on. I have to make some room for our baking today. And here is a plaki. This meat, the fish, you notice, is very, 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 very tender. And it kind of blends with the vegetables. The flavors of the vegetables blend in such a way that you're not going to have that fishy flavor that kids seem to, well, they label it. Let's face it, they label it right away. You know, Dad, this is too fishy. This will not be too fishy. I've fed this once to a group of 400 people in Seattle, where I was doing some parties for people. And there were a whole bunch of people on the committee that said, no fish, we can't stand fish. So I made just a little plaki for about 100 people. The other 300 had roast beef, right? Do you know what went first? That's what Greek cooking is about.